Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to Always Almost There. We are here, we are live, and we are joined by Peter, and it's very exciting. Hi, Peter.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah, welcome.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yes, the second annual Jam of the Year Sweet 16 podcast.
He's two-time guest.
Two-time guest.
Kind of, I guess we would say regular contributor to the pod.
Yeah, so Peter, if you want to
you.
go ahead, throw that in your bio.
Yeah.
Feel free.
Sure thing.
AAT sixth man.
There we
Six
go.
man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Actually, if Always Almost There was actually, if we were actually a basketball team, you would definitely be in the starting lineup.
I was going to say, I'm
Ryan would probably be the sixth
starting
man.
lineup if we're playing basketball.
Oh, I feel like you'd be the coach.
I'll take it. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in today. We will be joined by Danny Rosewoods shortly as he figures out his technology situation. But we're gonna dive right in here. We've got a lot to talk about, and we want to try to keep this to under 4 hours, as we do. But I think we want to start with some stuff talking about the new TED tapes, because there's a lot to dive into here. Very, very new sounding jams in a lot of cases. Peter, tell us a little bit about the new TED tapes. How do you feel about them?
Sure. I love the TED tapes. It was it's a combination of these different improvisational moments from like the first sessions with Cotter. Cotter's the new drummer, if anyone hasn't heard.
Nice.
Yeah. And
I hope everyone knows by now.
He's awesome, but yeah, the TED tapes we put together from some jams we had played, and it was an awesome process putting it together. It was honestly like I've listened to it so much over the last month, especially in January. It was like, oh man, we're so geeked on it, and the first track, like Leo, we played. That was like the first notes we'd ever played with Cotter. It was the first jam. Like he like walked into the room, like got his stuff set up, and then all of a sudden we just like started playing. I like ran over and pressed record on my laptop, and like 4 minutes later, we're having like this moment. Or at least Rick and I are having this moment where we're like looking at each other, just absolutely geek out smile, just so stoked. It's like, what'd you say, Kev?
Did you guys lock eyes?
We locked eyes.
Oh my goodness.
It was one of the most special moments of my life. It was just such a magical moment. That was around like 4 minutes into this jam that now everybody's heard. But and then like later on, like the jam keeps going. Like I think it's like 20 minutes in or something. The he just like Cotter locks in with Trevor on this groove, and it continues for like another 15 minutes. And like during this whole segment, Rick and I are just like looking at each other being like, I can't believe this is happening. We're just like kind of like making spacey sounds and letting the groove just go. And it was just like, it was a crazy moment, and I'll never forget that. So just having that track out is so cool for me, and the rest of the guys, and like the rest of the jams. I mean, Manu, I think people have really liked that one.
Is it Manu is the proper pronunciation? Not Manu?
I think so. I think it's Manu. Anyway,
Us Midwesterners would say Manu.
What's up, Danny?
How you doing, Peter?
You made it.
I'm doing all right. And
Jesus, running.
Yeah, so like that one, like I just remember like listening back to that, and I think I was like driving or something the first time I listened back to it, and it is just like what a nice build that jam has, and has so much space, and like we are like making Trevor's like scratching his strings into a delay pedal at one point, and it's like like that kind of stuff. I was like, wow, like okay, we're really we're breaching the surface on like where we can go next, and then I feel like there's so many moments in the TED tapes where it's like the the future is just so there. You know, there's so many different places that we went as a band in just those first few sessions, and it was like, okay, wow, there's a lot here, and Cotter is just a really amazing dude. He's like positive. He's a hard worker. He's really excited to get going and like learning all the songs and everything like that, which we're starting to do. So it's been an amazing process just getting to know him in that way and playing with him. So yeah, we couldn't be more stoked for what's happening at the moment.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
getting to see you guys interact too on, as we've dubbed, the Coronation Jam that came out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just, that was a really cool piece coming off TED tapes too, having that and like being able to listen to it, watch the video, then listen to some TED tapes, go back, see that jam again, and just, it's cool. I mean, you can see the chemistry's, already blossoming with you guys. It seems like a great guy. I mean, Vermonters, right? I went to
Vermonters.
UVM, so it's, they're just quality people. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a big deal in the Coronation Jam, we have the return of a long, very extended segment of Two Guitar Goose. Which
Yeah,
is,
sure.
a big deal.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, sounded amazing. That's both have been on a repeat for us. One thing that I'm curious about, you'd mentioned when we were chatting before the pod about how some of the effects, especially like the stereo effects on like the organ and the clav delay, were added by James Goodwin when he mixed it because it was recorded in mono. So I'm curious, what the effect of James's mixing had on the sound of the TED tapes, because you guys weren't intending to release these originally, right?
Yeah, so it was pretty much, I mean, a lot of the stuff on there is from like the first session where we, like slapped together some mics pretty much. I mean, we usually have 3 mics on a Leslie, which is for the organ. Just put one, because we were just trying to get it together and get the setup going. And he just like stereoized it in post, the organ at least. And he added some other like delays, throws on the clav, and he did there's the intro for Apollo. He kind of like put a filter on Rick's guitar, or the intro on Nebula, same kind of thing. And each one of these tracks is like so special to me, and like the Apollo jam is like we were going to play Atlas Dogs, and like we just started to jam.
No.
And that's where you get something like that, and then it fades out because we actually do play Atlas Dogs right after that.
At the end, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's honestly funny because you can hear that jam, and you can honestly hear like Rick kind of try and go to Atlas Dogs at one point, but then like the jam is so happening, he just quickly abandons that idea and then continues on to wherever we go next. But that one's like got that special energy of like it was just totally out of the blue, and I mean they were all like kind of like that. I think it's really like, especially like the Baku jam was like after we it's like a 7-2-6 jam.
Yep.
So like we played 7-2-6, and then like we kind of kept going. You know what I mean? So it's like these moments of like, oh, okay, we can start exploring these new spaces. It just like immediately just happened naturally. So that was really cool. And there's more of that good stuff.
Peter, are those the TED tapes? Are they laid out chronologically the way that y'all started playing with Cotter?
No, they're not chronological. No,
aside from the Leo,
except for
one.
Leo being the first thing. Yeah.
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 I liked that on the Apollo too. You sort of sound like you have like a little arpeggiator or something. It's like something new on that. Like you're sort of playing the line, on your keys too. But there was a loop there that I really liked. I feel like that would be a cool addition, and maybe working through some of these newer sounds that you guys can bring into the fold for those songs this year.
Yeah, I 100% totally agree. I think in a lot of these like jams, just listening back to everyone's playing, I think there is, there's so much more exploration going on in terms of sounds and tones. Especially, like I feel I feel like Cotter and Trevor are so locked in, and it's like it really allows for, especially Rick and I to like kind of like get out there and play with more sounds, and especially and Jeff too. Honestly, like the end of the end of the I think which Regulus jam is kind of like a really cool moment where Jeff and Rick are kind of like going off and doing their thing while the rest of us like holding down a groove, and I think that's cool. That's special stuff. I really love that part.
Might set a platform where people, you have two or three locking in, and then the other guys can kind of move out.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's like a cool space to keep evolving.
100%.
Maybe that Chiron. We haven't really touched on that one too. That's like
the
extended.
Chiron,
like we're French. Okay, sounds good. That's like a dragon. It's like a dragonfly expansion for me. I mean, like we all right away. It's like 10 seconds in, and obviously it goes a lot of different spaces. But like, Rick likes that dragonfly line as he touched on it all last year and stuff. And of course, the D fly.
You like talking about the dragonfly?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I love that one too. That one was like from the second session we had done with Cotter, and it was like really, it was the first time. Because the first session we didn't play with Jeff. Jeff wasn't there.
Oh, okay. That's why Leo. We were wondering. Yeah, I think people listen to Leo, and they were like, "Where's Jeff?"
Jeff was there for the second session, and Chiron, he's on that one. So, but yeah, that jam especially was really cool. We had it was really, it's amazing like how well Cotter responds to like the changes, in our the way we're like perceiving like going to the next section. I think like he's got a really good heads up where like we had finished, I think it's like even just like the opening section or something, and like we had like done that idea, and then like he just changes his groove right like the perfect time, and like he's done this so many times, especially in that the Cotter Ellis jam where you guys
Coronation jam.
Sure. Yeah. Like especially in like that kind of thing, and it's just really, he's definitely like heads up. He's listening so well, and there's so many nuances he's catching that, after only playing with him for a few times, it's amazing. I'm so inspired and impressed by him.
That's awesome. And there's been a tease already a couple hours ago that we're going to get some new Cotter music tomorrow. I don't know if you're allowed to spill yet. Will it be another Ted Tapey all instrumental jam, or will it be a song?
Okay, it's
we won't tell anybody.
We won't tell anyone.
Yeah. This isn't live or anything.
It's between us. No one's watching.
No. It's a jam. It's a jam.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a jam from the same session as the first video.
Awesome. Oh, cool. It was cool to see the progression too, like off of TED tapes, and seeing it's a little more locked in on that YouTube jam, I think, like, and just maybe familiarized with each other.
Yeah, there was definitely that, it was like, what's up, Cotter? We're buddies now.
Question from friend of the pod, Jesse. What's the first song that you played with Cotter?
Besides Leo, it was
or just outside of the jamming, like the first Goose song.
Yeah, I think it was Silver Rising. So that's my guess. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly, but I think that was it.
Getting him in on the good stuff quickly. That's awesome.
I hope you told him like, hey man, this is where you have to howl. It's just your part.
Yeah, man. Take a howling solo here. You got this. Yeah. And don't mind while we just film you real quick.
Perfect.
You don't pay no attention.
There we go. Well, we could talk about TED tapes for hours, of course, but we are here because today we kicked off the Sweet 16 of the 2023 Jam of the Year bracket. We've got a lot going on here, a lot to talk about. And so as we dive into the bracket, before we talk about the 8 matchups that we've got left, in this round, we want to throw it to you, Peter. And looking at this Sweet 16, are there jams that you think shouldn't be here and jams that you think that should be here but aren't?
This is controversial. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Here for the hot takes.
All right. I will say
we may react.
Going through, I listened to every jam that's in the Sweet 16, and I think in terms of jams that I think should be there that aren't, there was a Earthling or Alien jam from the Cap that I really liked.
cycle.
Yes.
I thought it was super unique, and that jam stuck out to me as like, oh wow, this is different, And I think when talking about jams and improvisation, the truest form is when you're doing something like maybe you haven't done before. It's like you're exploring new territory. So I thought that one was like a great instance of that. I don't think it like doesn't have like a super huge peak like some other jams do, and maybe that's like, I mean, everybody has their different interpretation of what their favorite type of jam is, or like their favorite jam, But that one was one that I thought was really good. I really liked. Let's see. Going through here.
Yeah, that ERA lost to the Empress from Eugene, which is a great jam too.
That one, that one's also good.
I think the Earthling was more a victim of its seating than anything else.
Sure.
I think most of us agree that it should have been higher.
Yeah, I could agree with that too. I think the 1120 Madhavan was very good, but it was also against a super hot jam. That 622 Arrow was really good. So
Louisville, man, those shows are so good.
The Louisville shows, going back, I guess
Phenomenal.
realizing the Louisville shows were really, really good.
Yeah. That was my favorite run of the year for sure. Being there, that theater is incredible. I love that town too.
Yeah, that was I really had a good time at that spot too. So those are two maybe that I would have in there, and I think in terms of jams that I think maybe I don't see as good as maybe they're ranked is the 326 All I Need, the Cleveland one, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Hot take, I guess, but that one it felt like I mean, I think there's like a cool factor about it that it's like it's an unexpected place for that jam to fall. Like it was right after it was a really good first jam, and like then it kind of fell like into space where it almost felt like we made a mistake, where we like didn't go back, like somebody missed the cue to like go back to the the main song. And then the jam continued, and at that point I thought it was like kind of mostly just like an old C jam, like a pretty standard old C jam. So it really does, it peaks super hard though. So like, yeah, I could see for anyone who really likes in like a really good strong peak and like a really good, like surprise, there's a jam here, you know, I could see people really liking it for that reason. But I didn't think it should be ranked as high as it was. And then, maybe that Empress from Eugene, I thought was okay, but I think maybe also the same
Born
kind
is
of
better.
thing. I think the Born's for sure better, but I think also I think generally there was better instances of that kind of like dark jamming other places in the bracket. So, hot take there.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm glad we have agreement on Cap, Earthling, or Alien. It's really a shame that it didn't go this far, because I think people needed an opportunity to listen to that as much as possible. Because that jam,
the
just
Cap
something
is
about
very
it.
good. I think that drive is incredible.
Insane.
We all
love that one.
We'll
It's a
get to
great
that.
show.
Magic in the Air on the 8th of March. Yeah,
Honestly,
I mean, it was
and
something.
the All I Need. Can't forget about the Cap All I Need.
That's where you guys play Camino. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
the one.
brought it up.
Wait a minute. I did have there was a Camino tease and something on this
In the
bracket.
Seattle Echo.
Well, yeah, because it wasn't a tease in the All I
yes.
Need. It was just the
The
entire
All I
Camino.
Need. The All I Need. Rick briefly plays some notes that sound kind of like
Come on, this guy.
to Kev.
You gotta listen to other TED tapes besides Moby Ryan.
Well,
We're
there's
we're gatekeeping live on the air.
I
here.
think there's also a Camino tease in the Leo Jam, right?
there is around the 22-minute mark from you.
Just for you, Kev.
Thank you.
Hashtag just for Kev. Can we get hashtag just for Kev in the chat?
Yeah, he's next. Yeah, Just for Kev is his next intro.
Just for Kev on the next episode. B, I think you had one. You're muted.
All right,
Talking into the ether.
Goose was barking.
Or
Yeah,
hunger site.
you touched on this kind of a little bit, and talking about the Cap Earthling especially. that it sounds like that's a memorable jam for you, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
And so, there's a few kind of hot button jams in the bracket where, Pancakes from Chicago Salt Shed is one of them, right?
Sure. Some people.
And so it kind of sparks this debate around, how people define jam and is it improv of the year or jam of the year? And it can be anything for anyone, to me. But when I actually did have that Pancakes, it was in my top 30.
Yeah.
And obviously it doesn't, it would almost be the antithesis of a Cap, Earthling, or Alien in terms of, style of jam or whatever. But my question is, I think undeniably that Pancakes is just brings the absolute heat. And, I think the whole band is just, it's a freight train kind of peak, right? And it's long. And so does a jam like that stick out to you and the band afterwards?
I mean, it definitely did for me. I mean, even like listening back, like my notes on this were like the crowd is so engaged. This thing is off the rails. Insane shredding. This is bananas. This goes harder and faster than anything I've listened to yet.
Keeps going. Yeah. He just keeps going.
Peter, those were your notes to yourself?
Yeah, and I said that this is notes that I wrote down at listening so I could remember how to talk about these. I only listened to it once. But yeah, then and then I said the Wisteria peak rivals this, which is the 413 Wisteria.
Yeah, Madison.
Yeah.
That mid-rest run was so good. Too.
Yeah, I believe was it the Madison Wisteria that just beat Salt Cakes a few days ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so. I think it. But yes, that jam definitely stuck out to me. I think in general, when I listen back to those Chicago shows, like the Hunger Site and the Pancakes, it is just amazing. I feel like the crowd is there on every note, and there's tangible reactions that I hear from the crowd when things happen. So that tells me I mean, it's no wonder we put them out as a live album because it just feels like the connection and was really there with the audience during those shows, and I think that definitely. It plays into the energy that is coming through on that Pancakes. It's why were we that stoked? And I feel like it has a lot to do with the audience. So that was probably a reason why we just literally just kept going, I guess, as much as we did.
I mean, that inside out around it too has got a little flavor.
There you go. Now you're talking B's language.
Yeah, B and Neil's language.
And Neil, yeah.
And Neil does love Spoon. That's
big Spoon guy.
True. Big Spoon guy. Yeah. Big Spoon guy. Well, let's if we're ready, should we dive into the matchups here?
Sure.
Yeah.
So first up today, ongoing as we speak, we have Hunger Salt at a 1 seed versus the Eugene Born at a 4 seed. Peter, please.
It's not fair.
What do you say about this matchup?
I mean, I'm voting for Eugene Born on this one. And
Sorry, Neil.
It's Eugene Born is, I think, after listening through all the jams, I've got I've only ranked it to my first and second favorite of the whole thing. So this is my number 2, and we'll get to my number 1 later in the bracket. But
all right,
this is my number 2 jam, Eugene Born. I think it's amazing. It's got a totally new space for Goose at that time, and it's just it's really cool. I listened to the whole thing and I didn't want to skip any part of it. I was like, wow, this is incredible space, great patience. Let me reference my notes again. Great textures and looping.
Adam.
What did he say?
No, what the hell does Peter know anyways?
Oh jeez.
one of the most vocal Hunger Salt supporters there. Ryan Legvold wants to know, Peter,
no,
were you
I had nothing to do with any bots. You could probably blame Vickers for that.
We have.
Here it is. Cue it.
Blame Vickers.
Yeah. There we go. I had it ready.
That's
but
right.
It's just it reminds me a lot of what some of what's going on in like that Leo jam, like later on the Leo jam, where Rick and I are just able to like play with textures and sounds, and like the groove is just there and it's happening. So that's that's why I like that jam a lot, and it's like it just feels like a really successful move into that space.
And so, Peter, some people on the pod suggest that you need to be consuming edibles to properly enjoy the Eugene Bourne.
Definitely not.
Were you able to just, as a sober person, enjoy it for what it was?
Oh, 100%. You don't have to consume anything for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You do get high.
Everybody's waiting for me to say something here. So
we are. Yes, we definitely are.
Neil, counterpoint.
Noted Eugene Bourne hater, Neil Land.
Neil doesn't hate Eugene Bourne.
I'm glad
he's warming to it.
I don't hate Eugene Bourne. I absolutely love the jam. I think we all had it similarly ranked. So
yeah.
let's note that before I begin saying this.
I definitely
enthusiast.
I think there's something that a lot of people do look for in jams that they're maybe not getting from Eugene Bourne, which is like multi-part jams, changes in key, changes in tempo, big peaks.
Bigger peaks,
so like,
yeah, exactly.
There's plenty of things that like some people may like in other jams, and that they like more. So it's like it's totally subjective. What do you guys like, each of you, in like what makes a jam of the year for you?
Ooh,
I'd say textures like that. I mean, I think like the spaces. Yeah, Bourne was just great in April, June. You have the Louisville one, the Madison one, 2 weeks before Eugene was huge. That Madison show again has got a lot of good stuff. I think, and Trevor was such a big part of the early part of the year, March and April, like both in the mix and just the way he was playing. You think about the cap ERA, like we said, and just he sounded like he was stepping out a lot more. I think that style of jamming was just insane, and you look at how much is from March and April in this bracket still. Just was a phenomenal time of the year. I think those 2 months for me have a lot of stylistic attributes that I like about jams, where it's space, down tempo. We don't need to find massive peaks and go fast, and let's slow the tempo down and get into these different spaces.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm always looking for.
Okay.
I mean, Wisteria from San Francisco is like another version, right? Like those types of things. All I Need from Legend Valley last year, like those different, like slow it down and let's just let you use your systems.
Like patience,
Yeah.
Patience is what
I
it
think
is.
I think for me, listening to the jams, I think a lot of it is just like how I feel when I listen to it. So there's obviously the factor of like, a new jam space. I'm a sucker for multi-part jams. I think that comes from being a Fish fan as well. Like I love, you find an idea, you explore that idea, then you move on to the next one. I think that's part of why I love Seattle Echo so much.
I'd say that jam does that a lot. It's
yes.
like got like 6 or 7 different segments.
It's the multi-part jam.
Yeah.
And so I do go Hunger Salt in this matchup over Eugene Bourne. I just think it's better to me, and I have the Louisville Bourne, which we'll talk about later, ranked higher than Eugene. For a large reason, because it does that cool spacey patience thing, and then goes into other cool sections, which Neil is gonna agree with, of course, because he hates.
That's what I was gonna say before. Is if you want to just use Bournes to kind of talk about what you look for in a jam. If I take that Louisville Bourne and I put it next to the Eugene Bourne, the Louisville Bourne gives me what I'm looking for, which it does go to a similar space as the Eugene Bourne.
Right.
But then there's just like, there's like really like excellent guitar work from Rick. I think Peter's work, your work on the vintage vibe in that, where you're just like absolutely like attacking the vintage vibe in it. Like, I mean, I would like hum a bar, but I'm not going to. But
you're saying it does more. It goes another place.
Well, yeah, and it's just like Ryan said. It just, I guess, a variety of things happening over the course of a jam, kind of makes the jam more exciting for me.
Yeah.
However, I've listened to all of these like a zillion times. But...
I definitely. So I agree. I like variance, in the jam for sure. But at the same time, I think Eugene Bourne is a case of it does. You could say it does one thing, but it does that one thing phenomenally well.
Right.
And so that's where then you have to start to balance those things. Like, yeah, I like it to do more, but this does this thing so well. Same thing with the pancakes we were talking about earlier. It's pretty straightforward, but man, it's fiery than just about anything else in that straightforward way. So that's why this is so much fun, to talk about and to see how people seed and rank, because everybody has their own opinion, and then everyone is forced to kind of reconcile, because everybody likes more than one kind of jam, and we love all these jams. So then you're really forced to really think deeply about, man, what do I really like more here? And I think this year, more than years past, I started to give more weight in my own list to the things that I just tended to listen to on repeat more, because to me that said, there's a reason I keep going back to this. And maybe I'm not going back to Seattle Echo because it's just too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And some of the other jams like Eugene Born or Cap Drive, man, you can just hit that and sit back and put it on repeat. So
yeah, got it.
And I would piggyback off of what both Jive and Ryan said, based on feel. Like, what kind of mood are you in for one? Like, I find myself going back, and these aren't brought up as much, but the Everything Must Go from Red Rocks, like when I want to get really pumped up, that's something I throw on. If I'm relaxing and I just kind of want to, tune it, listen to the music and really kind of dissect it, I'm listening to like Eugene Born. And if I want to hear, that multi-part jam that does some things that you might not necessarily have heard before, I'm going to Hampton Mirrors. Depending on how I'm feeling, can very much dictate what I'm going to listen to, what I feel like putting on. To Jive's point, like, I think what, objectively, you could say Seattle Echo or whatever is a better jam or whatever, but I would 100% go back to what Jive said and emphasize those ones that I constantly am going back to and listening to.
Yeah, understood.
Very well said. Very well said. We do have some confusion in the chat from Space Bacon Fan. The formula does not dictate which jam is the jam of the year. The formula dictates the seeding.
The people decide.
Yes, the people decide. People can vote. And that's our first matchup. Hunger Salt versus Eugene Born. That is going on right now. If you head to socials at AAT Goosepod, you will see the link to the poll where you can vote for Eugene Born, or you can disappoint Peter. Those are your two options. Just for the record, just in case people are confused, I voted for Hunger Salt. I don't want people to think that I'm saying that because I want Eugene Born to win. I just think it's funny.
It's just a great reason not to vote for Hunger Salt there, right?
There we go.
No, I mean, that's also a great jam. I think at the time, like, after we played that jam, I was like, okay, that was, as you can tell with like a lot of things that like end up on YouTube, I was probably like pretty stoked on that moment of music. I was just like, okay, that's probably a video,
right?
Like that one. I think Pancakes made it up there too from Chicago.
Phoenix Arrow.
Yeah.
Flagstaff Arrow. Yeah.
Flagstaff. Phoenix.
Yeah.
Phoenix, Flagstaff.
Yeah. Arizona. The Arizona Arrow. Tempe. They're all.
Take it from the top.
They're all in the area. Let's move on to. Sorry, Peter. I want to cut you off.
No. You're good. Move on.
All right. Well, I'm trying to keep this below 4 hours here. Our second matchup of the Echochrome region, we have the 3 seed Ryman Wisteria up against the 2 seed Cap Drive. This is a tough one.
And real quick before we get to that, we really need to say thank you to Peter, especially Becky, right, for sharing you with us on Valentine's Day here. So sorry to take you away. Very glad
she's still at work, so we have some time.
There we go.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Yeah. And thank you so much for spending part of your Valentine's Day with us, Peter.
It's not working. Oh, there it is.
Oh, it's working.
He's using the auto.
I only wish that we could all be together in person, at like an Olive Garden, with a nice Chianti.
Breaking breadsticks.
Free breadsticks.
Yeah, breaking breadsticks.
Maybe I'll let you guys into my reservation later.
At the OG.
Yeah. All right.
Killer
let's
matchup,
talk about this Ryman Wisteria versus Cap Drive matchup.
Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. It was
Sorry, Ryan.
needed.
Oh, I will jump in here. I mean, this one, I think you said earlier, is awful close, and it might be one of the closest that we've got here. I mean, when you're looking at like the Sweet 16 here, they're all incredibly close, right? It's the top 16 jams of the year.
Right.
I think what's interesting about this year more than any of the other 3 brackets that we did, take the Applebee's, is that just the quantity of jams that kind of sit in this like top heavy, really, really good jams. Like if we go back to like 2020, I think we had fewer shows to work with and things like that. But like this year, there's just so many. And the difference between like, the number 12 jam of the year and the number 22 is just, it's hard to tell the difference.
Phenomenal.
So, but these two are incredibly close. The Cap Drive, I have listened to, I mean, the most out of any jam the entire year. It's just so good. We've already said that the 2-Guitar Goose is some of our favorite on this podcast.
And that 2-Guitar Goose.
And that's like,
especially,
that's the good stuff right there. Yeah.
And that first jam, that's fairly unique, for
I would say
year.
that's super memorable, at least for me.
It's such a beautiful, just a gorgeous jam. And I'm right there with you, Neil. It's, if we could get a Nugs Wrapped stats, that would be super, super high on my list of total plays.
Yeah.
I think the same for me. I'm gonna vote for the Drive, but Wisteria was really fun. That was a great run to be at too. The Wisteria was pretty phenomenal in terms of that first night. That show in general was pretty good. Had some fun stuff in the second set. The Rockdale was really cool and different that night too, I thought. But the uniqueness. It's like we go back, right? Like, and it has the patience too. The drive, like that first, it feels like I'm floating every time I'm listening to that drive. It's literally just like those are those unique spaces that we don't always touch on, but like they're there. So it's when you find it, it's like a down tempo, like dream space kind of for me. It's just like, and just so many layers and like washes of sounds. And then, we get a little flavor at the end of picking it up too. But that one's going to take,
I did have a question for you, Peter, about this before we let you give the full thoughts on this matchup. When you're dropping into the jam and drive in this version, at least, because of all the changes to the arrangement of drive and how it's played that have happened in the last couple of years, it sounded to me in this one, that maybe Rick was hitting the chords to the whoa section briefly, but you ended up going into the jam instead. And I'm curious if you guys had talked about, or you guys talk about before you play drive, like, we're gonna just jam off of the guitar solo, or we're gonna stop and do the second jam, if you will, formerly.
Okay. Sometimes we don't talk about the second jam, but we definitely talked about not doing the big E section and the whoa section. Like that's been cut for the song for now. So we've kind of like, I think on that jam he was taking his guitar solo right over like kind of after the second chorus, and then it went to that amazing space, just like really quickly. I was like, oh, this is pretty sick. That to me is a memorable jam. And then that fades out. I don't, depending if we do the second jam is totally depending on the set list and the vibe in the room. It's like, are we looking for that extra little bit of like, upbeat drive, energy, or are we ready to go to whatever's next? And it depends on what's next in the set list too. So, that one to me, it gets the win on this matchup. I thought that I think the Wisteria is good, but I really I didn't love it. I think Madison's better for sure, but I didn't love this Wisteria until maybe like the second half, where it kind of goes to like this like 16th note piano thing, and like everyone's kind of like Rick too. Like we're all kind of like in this, it's like really like a cool zone that I really hadn't heard too much of. So I really like the second half of that, but this whole drive jam I really am interested in. I think there's also some really cool like weird stuff towards the end of drive that ends. It goes into loose ends.
Yeah.
And like sometimes when we go into loose ends, it's kind of like when things are a little bit like, where are we? What's going on? Like, Oh, loose ends, like just to put a nice ending on it, you know.
Yeah, it sort of wraps things up a little cleaner, maybe than sort of letting
ties
things
them up,
melt.
if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the loose ends thing there, it tells me that like, okay, we were out there, and I think when we get out there, it's like that's a good thing. So I like that whole drive jam. I'm voting for that. You know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything to add on that one? All right. Well, let's move on to our third matchup here. Moving into the Inferno Prime region, we've got the Seattle Echo versus the Portland Hot Tea. This is
another divisive one.
Well, one of these jams is divisive.
Unnecessarily divisive.
What's divisive?
Portland Tea.
Portland Tea.
The Portland Tea has a huge following of people who insist that this is the best jam that Goose played all year. Oh, it's a small but very vocal following. Let's just say that. And it's like the same group of people who just like absolutely love Goose Bliss jams. So yeah, Vickers is one of those people. And you know, if you're talking about Bliss jams from the year, this Hot Tea has that. It is one of the best.
It is one of the Bliss jams that Goose played in 2023. That is true.
That is one of the best. I'm sorry if I missed that word. That there's that, and then you've got it against the Seattle Echo, which, like, I mean, this matchup is over before it even begins.
Right.
You're judging kind of one small Bliss segment out of a reasonably long Hot Tea. I think that's like the one thing that everybody really loves about that Hot Tea versus like the Seattle Echo, which is just a multi-part monster that has so much good stuff going. And actually, that brings me to a question, Peter, if you don't mind. So when you played the Seattle Echo, was it the intention to go out there to just like not stop playing for fear of the PA cutting out, or did it just happen?
Yeah,
that's amazing. Honestly, I think it was just a lot of pent up energy, you know, of like, it was for like that whole thing was very like, you know, it's frustrating for us because it's like, oh man, we want to go out there and play so bad, you know, we feel bad for whoever's there and whoever, you know, in the audience who has to wait, and it sucked that the PA, like, it happened twice, you know, that's just like,
yeah,
and it was like a weird sound, like you don't want that at your show. So I think it was just like we were off like on the side of the stage, like, how do we fix this? What do we do? Like let's play it, you know, let's reschedule to Monday, like whatever we have to do to like make the show happen. And yeah, blame Vickers for the technical.
And then y'all locked eyes and said JOTY.
Yeah, no. No, I think there was definitely an intention to go out there and like, you know, and really give a good show. So like that for sure was an intention of like, let's go out there and like let's play, you know, a hot set list. That was definitely a thought. You know, mm-hmm. I don't think we had the intention of playing Echo for 45 minutes, but like, you know, you can hear in the jam that like multiple points where this definitely could go right back to the chorus of Echo. Mm-hmm. That like, you know, the whole band is kind of just like, nah, let's just keep jamming. Yeah. And I think that's like, that speaks to the moment of like where we were and like what was happening at the time, you know, like of the PA dropping out and us being on stage really excited to jam and play, and we're like, let's just keep going because we're having fun, you know. So right. I think that like kind of speaks to that and why it's such a long jam, and it goes a lot of different places. I mean, it's probably the jam of the year. You know, if you're somebody who likes jamming, this is the most amount of jamming in the bracket, you know, like
jamming. Huh, I'll check it out.
You like jamming?
Heard of it.
So was that like a reworked set list too? Like when you got like, right, you go back and it's like,
I believe it was.
Deal
yeah.
with this. Like you're just like, let's just reframe.
I remember seeing the written set list after an Echo was not on it at all.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, like let's just bring the energy back in there.
Yeah, I don't know why it ended up being Echo. I can't remember, but you know, it definitely like
it was the vibe.
It goes all of the places that like we were going at that time. You know, of like it you know, it goes all the other. It has a dark jam. It's got a bliss jam. It's got like
the clav jam.
It's got a sick clav jam.
Oh yeah.
It's a big major jam. I mean, like it goes like my notes on this are like goes to A minor, goes to D, goes communities, goes to F, like goes back to G, goes to E minor, and then it goes back to A. And then like when it goes back to A, which is like the main theme of Echo, it like doesn't stop. Like it kind of like keeps going. So I was just like, yeah, this is pretty awesome. I don't know if it's my number one, but it's probably going to be a lot of other people's number one picks.
There we go.
Yeah.
Peter, yeah, we do have a thing. You do have attendance bias. That is true. That's
fair.
A permanent
hard to dispute
bias as well.
Yeah, it's hard to dispute that.
I mean,
that's
that
fair,
would make me just a proponent of all of the jams, though.
You probably have some though where like after the fact, like you sort of alluded to, you have a certain feeling after that, even though it might not resonate with everybody. It's like those are memorable for me.
Yeah, like the moment was memorable, but like after that I was just like, what did we play? Like, what song are we in? Even during the jam, like,
Right.
What song was this again?
This? Yeah.
When you get super far out there, you almost can forget like what you're doing, or like
you ever had a moment where you have to go into the talk back and be like where are we returning to?
Where are we?
Like,
what song are we playing, guys?
Yeah, I honestly, it's maybe happened like once. But
we certainly feel that in the
sometimes
crowd.
you get really far out there, and the Hot
Yeah.
Tea's not a bad jam either. It's like it's definitely a really unique space for that song, which is cool because Hot Tea gets a lot of like it's kind of like it's evolved into this like kind of shredder song, where it's like, and you kind of like build a funk zone, but like doesn't go a ton of places improvisationally. So I think like the reason this is probably ranked so highly is because it did once, for a change.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely people like the song. So it's like, that kind of generates some hype there.
Did Jive mute himself because he didn't want people to hear his thoughts?
No, it's an interesting point about that. It was, that Hot Tea was in a kind of interesting spot in the set list. Like you wouldn't really expect it to be where it was necessarily at the time. And then to have it go there. I was there at the show and I was like, how are we here?
Yeah.
Just to, underscore your point, because you just don't often find yourself in that space in a Hot Tea jam.
Which is cool. Like, I think that's like part of what makes a great jam cool as well. It's like, well, is this surprising? Like, am I, I think is there like some element of like the band's going out of like their comfort zone, in this particular moment. I think that is cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, let's head on to our next matchup here. We've got the Louisville Born up against the Ryman Madhavan.
Louisville Born, there it comes again.
Yeah, here's the.
Oh yeah.
What do you think about this one, Peter?
The Louisville Born is definitely hot, and yeah, it's got like that kind of the Born Jam type vibe up top, and then it goes crazy. And let's see. Okay, I'm going Born on this one.
Sorry, RJ.
Wait, what happened? I missed it.
RJ said, "Don't do it, Peter."
What does he care about?
He cares about the Ryman Madhavan.
He likes that Ryman.
Oh, he likes
Lord's name in vain on the day of Lent.
Yeah.
Oh man.
On Thatched Wednesday.
Yes. So yeah, I think I actually prefer the Madhavan from London to this one. So it just didn't really hit me in the same way. So I'm voting for the Born. But what do you guys think?
Diddy ass.
Well, I'll say
matchup.
I mean, I really love this Louisville Born. It's a very, very good jam. This Ryman Madhavan reminds me of jams, actually a couple jams. Now that we're here and we're talking about it, so back to the Cleveland Rockdale from last year, very, very similar jam. And more recently at the Arabelo show in Thatch, there was that earworm jam that I was trying to put my finger on, and it is very, very similar to what shows up in this Madhavan. So It's the jam is. I mean, if you listen to, I have not yet listened to the Thatch again since I was at the show. But if you listen back to the Cleveland Rockdale and you listen to the Ryman Madavon, you can hear those distinct sections that kind of sound familiar. But I actually think this Madavon is pretty darn good. I think I actually like it better than the Cleveland jam. But in any case, so there's a familiar jam there, which is interesting. But this Louisville Born, it's just got so much cool shit in it. Like it's just awesome.
Yeah.
So I like this one.
And I would definitely say Louisville Born, and I would like to use the rest of my time to ask you guys, what the hell were you talking about with the doctor and the doctor is in? And
the London
and Diddy ass and the London Madavon. Yeah.
It's DDS.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but being Diddy as well, it was a good little play.
Diddy ass.
The doctor is in DDS. You know,
doctor will see you now.
That's all I can say. You know, I can't really go into more detail there.
Ouch. Yeah, you don't want to violate HIPAA.
There you go. Exactly. That's. I mean, while we're talking about the doctors in, like the London Madavon, at least the initial part of the jam has a very similar kind of vibe to the beginning of the Ryman Madavon. And one of the things that I love about the beginning of the London Madavon so much that you can't do on your rig in the States is the blending of the synth and the organ tone in the early part of that jam, which just sounds so cool.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. I remember I think I said to you after that show, but I just remember like I was freaking out at the time, like he's blending synth and organ and they're both going through the Leslie and it sounds awesome.
I mean, I love that shit. I love it.
Haps can attest to that. He was next to me while it was happening. But yeah, that was really cool. And I also go Louisville here, the multi-section
as well.
Sorry, Jive.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to.
Well, I'm glad that the London Madavon came up because
it
was actually in my Sweet 16. I'm a big fan, and I just wanted to ask you, Peter. So when I love that kind of playfulness with the Dr. Will see and all that, and so it always makes me think of the August 10th. 2019 All I Need with the Lionsgate Portal.
Yeah.
I love that jam so much. And then there was a Steamboat Drive.
And then there was the one something
the IUB stuff?
There was the one at Resonance, right?
That was the She Does My Stocks.
Oh, She Does My Stocks.
Vocal,
in the Ghostbusters.
Stock She Does.
Yeah, that was I know about the IUB connection because in the London Madavon when you guys started doing that, Bruce started screaming IUB at the stage. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but
IUB.
Good old Bruce.
Yeah,
it's cool to see, and like those are just good elements. Like you said, it's unique. It's the playfulness, like hearing you guys on stage, and I know with being in Europe, it was like that gave you that space maybe to step out a little bit, right? Get into sort of a different comfort zone, and we you might not have got some of the huge jams that tour, but Paris All I Need, the Brussels Animal, like there are some great highlights. Tekla All I Need, he says,
some of us really like the Tekla one,
but it was just like a lot of those shows were very rock based. We sort of that was our sort of consensus, I would say, on the tour as a whole, after being able to tune in. But it was cool to see like maybe we have a little more time here, like let's step out a little bit more tonight.
Right.
It was wonderful, and just it's everybody likes a little stage banter, of course.
Oh yeah, I love those moments. I think it's just clear that the band is having a lot of fun, in those moments, and that to me is just like so memorable. Like you just easily can rattle off the ones where like the band that had like some like weird banter in the jams, because it's like it's just memorable. It's amazing. It just creates like an energy in the improv where it's like, oh, anything is possible. Like we're gonna get on the mic and say weird stuff, like. Oh, I can make any sound right now.
We're gonna talk about dental hygiene.
I think like that is such a cool part about like the beginning of the mod jam in general. It's like there's no rules, for like a certain amount of time where I mean, it could be endless, but there is kind of just, you can do whatever you want in that space. And I think like the Madavans that stick out to me are the ones where like we really do take that moment and like explore. I think like that London one definitely, and I think the Ryman one, I think that happens too. But I didn't think like I guess I just didn't feel like the patience like stayed there as long as it did in the London one. So like that's why I like the London one more, because it really felt like we committed to it and we like went for it. And I think like the jams that I like the most are like the ones where I'm like really proud of the band for sounding like
nice, yeah.
For like executing an idea or like listening well together. Like I can hear it, so it's like you can tell that was really happening in the London one. So I really like that one. But yeah, let's just smash up again. Yeah,
Amazing.
Born.
Yeah, right. Louisville born Ryman Madavon. Yeah, it all bring it back in.
Before we move on, just speaking of Europe, has there been any talk of doing some kind of official release?
Not yet. I think there's just been so much going on because of the drummer change and everything like that. So not yet, but that's a cool idea. I mean, we'll probably be going back too.
Will there be
Yeah.
vinyl?
Kev I was going to say, Kev really wants to buy some vinyl.
Well,
it's been a while.
And I'm very happy that you guys brought that up, because I actually, while we're tying up loose ends, is there a chance that these TED tapes might make vinyl?
It's definitely possible. I mean, it would.
You
be
guys like money or no?
Question is, do you? No,
you like spending money, that's for sure.
Yeah. It would be like a 6 LP box set.
Don't get Kev too excited.
So yeah. I mean, I crunched the numbers. I mean, you'd have to split up some of you'd have to split up Leo and Chiron. So
Leo and Chiron.
There is that. But like we've split up jams before, it's possible. So it could happen. I'm not gonna confirm or deny.
Yeah,
I just crunched 5.
Yeah, I just crunched the numbers as well in relation to the Radio City box set.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah, that one's a 12 LP.
Yeah. There we go. All right.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you. Glad Kev
one
got that opportunity.
One reason we have talked about doing it, I mean, it's definitely been talked about, is like I love like what our buddy Will Thresher did with like the symbols, and he made all those symbols himself, and then he like created stamps of the symbols and like stamped them on paper and then took photos of the stamps and used that as the cover art. So he physically made all these stamps. And like made that cover art like it's basically just a it's a photo of of that, which I think is really unique and cool, and he spent a lot of time on that, and like that it could be a really sick box set if we go in on that.
Did he do all the imaging too for that we saw?
So that was our other buddy Kale, and he did the visualizers for the TED tapes the first time, TED tapes 2021, which was like a whole album of visualizer. So he only had to do the clips this time, and he did such a great job. He and Will worked together on like finding like imagery for each song title, each symbol, like kind of like it worked with each song title and stuff like that. And we picked a color for each one, different vibes and stuff, and we went through and picked our favorite 90 seconds of each track, and that was like it was a fun process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was so cool to see that coming out day by day too. We were just like, and I think right at one point it's like, "Where's the drop?" And then it showed up like a little later.
Yeah.
Where's the 11 o'clock?
I mean, sometimes the Twitter one took a little bit longer because of my internet just being a little slow.
Oh yeah, versus Instagram, yeah.
And I think at one point we were getting so many clips. We're like, "Holy shit, another clip! Holy shit, another!"
Yeah, there were 2 in one day.
2 in one day. Yeah.
It was good. All right. Well, let's move on to our next matchup here in the bracket.
Time to bone it up.
Yes, we're still talking about the bracket. No, we're not at the boner yet. We are here next in the Pafaria region.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
We've got the Cleveland All I Need versus the Louisville Redbird. I know this was for those who may have missed it earlier. Peter had a controversial take about
Was there a China Cat tease in this Redbird?
No. It's close. It's very close.
Yes.
But no, there's not.
I don't know about that.
He might give the official word here.
You'll have to take it to committee, and they're going to deny you. What do you know?
We've spent
so close.
We have spent a lot of time in the committee debating this. Since June. I meant to highlight that one. But yeah, it's very close. And I listened to it again like an hour ago because I knew this was going to come up. And I was like, no, he plays like a little bit of the riff and then abandons it. And then goes back to a little bit of the riff.
So
and then
you just said that he plays the riff.
No, he doesn't play enough. That's like, no, but that's like,
how many bars do we need to go?
Here we go, Peter. This is. I have a good one here. In the Goosemas Arcadia, you went for the Jungle Boogie tease. You got through like half of the riff, and then you played something else, and then you went back to it and completed the full riff, which made it a tease.
Ah,
Lord.
interesting.
Like,
Good Lord.
I think what makes it difficult here is that the phrase of the whole riff of China Cat is long. So like if he doesn't quite get there, he just doesn't get there.
Yeah.
So
it's it's fine. It's definitely up for debate. I don't care either way, but
you should ask Rick.
I love this Redbird jam. I'll just say that this jam is amazing. It's like I really love the drums on this jam a lot, and the build at the end is hot. It's just like this wins for me in this matchup, which is probably an upset and probably not going to happen, but I love that jam. So going all in on that one.
We can just put 3 red birds for your tweet that day. That's like
yeah.
I think I'll probably all I need to just sniff it, but the Redbird is great. I mean, it's definitely the highlight version of the year for me, of that song. And it's also it was nice. I mean, we saw a lot of we sort of talked about like Redbird kind of had like similar jam style throughout the year, especially as we got into October and stuff like that, and the versions that came out later. Ben and Trevor really working well together, but this one being a little bit different, having a little bit more to it,
right?
A little bit more impact from you and Rick and everything. And so, I think like that those are the ones that stand out. I think it's close. It's definitely good. I think I'll probably pick the All I Need though.
Yeah, this is my favorite Redbird in a year of amazing Redbirds.
Mm-hmm.
You think about the quantity of Redbirds that are varied and just excellent. It's remarkable. So this one really, I absolutely love it. You think about some of the other Redbirds that have been played in the year that are awesome and just not nearly as good. Like, I'm like drawing a blank now. Boston, which we really love. Jive doesn't love that one.
There was one in Paris I thought was really good too.
Yes.
Yeah, that one was cool.
I've
had that one ranked.
Yeah.
I liked Warfield as well.
Yeah, the
Warfield's
Warbird.
good. Yeah.
Warfield Redbird. The Wiltern LA Redbird.
Yeah, that one was great.
All good ones. But this one's the tops. And I don't know. I think I like the All I Need. I really dig the jam where this one lands.
In the second half or or the whole thing really? Because I'm curious what you like about it.
I think when we were listening to it like in the moment, I remember we were all kind of on chat together listening to this one. There was a jam. I think we were kind of giving each other a hard time about it, and I can't remember what it is, but Ryan and I were really high on it. And then Jive was saying like, well, I'd rather listen to this All I Need than that jam any day of the week. And then
I feel like that happens a lot where like you and I will be like, wow, this jam is great. And then Jive will just come in and be like, it sucks, actually.
Cudgel.
Cap ERA was one of those.
That might have been the jam actually that we
I think it was.
We're kind of juxtaposing there. That All I Need and the caffeine, or the Cappy. But I don't know. It's just that there's something about this jam. It just goes to a really cool space, and I've loved it since I heard it. I don't know.
What do you think, Jive?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts. I don't think I've ever used the phrase "that jam sucks." So I think that's. I would like a retraction
Strike it from the record.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I have All I Need ranked pretty high. I have this Redbird in my top 10 jams of the year as well. So, but I do have the All I Need higher. I feel like I hear what you're saying, and I think it'll be interesting to go back and listen to it again. It's always actually good to go back and re-listen to some of these jams after hearing, your insights. I do, like, if Neil gives me insights on a jam, I'll go back and listen to that jam again with like these fresh perspectives, in my ear. But
what about when I give you insights?
Yeah, I don't hear that. But what I will say is when I think about this, All I Need, I'm not thinking, oh, the last 5 minutes is where it's at. It's definitely the first probably 16, 18 minutes where this jam does go to a couple really cool places.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a little bit of kind of darkness to it, and then
Grit.
Yeah, and then it turns the corner and does some and it's beautiful sounding. So, it's one of those jams where I feel like it is kind of a multi-part jam, and I think the point that you make about I like a lot of this jam, but I think that's something that we all struggle with sometimes.
Yeah.
And like Hot Tea's one where I think we all kind of tended to agree on that one, where it's like, yeah, it's got this good stuff, but there's a lot of other stuff that you kind of have to get around. And even like the Brussels Animal, I initially had that ranked really high because
you did.
There's some real TED tapes sounding stuff. There's a 5 or 6 minute section of that Animal that I really, really love.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys all kind of made fun of me for that. But
I didn't.
The peer review process is brutal.
No,
within the pod. Yeah,
we do not hold back.
Yeah.
It's interesting to take that. Sorry, Ron. That part where you said though, Peter, where it's like maybe we didn't find the return, and so you get into this space, and it's like the band feels a little unnatural in that space, and it's like, yeah, we're still going.
Right.
Whereas somebody might just be like, I love that section. And then your experience of it is very much like, well, we didn't hit that moment, and then it came to this part that sort of naturally occurs, but maybe it just kind of felt like, yeah, the idea from that first 10 to 12 minutes off the jam out of the song sort of shifts a little bit.
I mean, I thought that, like, I think the first. There was definitely some amazing moments from the jam. Like, there was one section in the first part where, like, Rick does, like, this crazy wah thing that, like, builds amazing tension. I thought that was like, oh, wow, that's an amazing moment. I really loved that. And then, going on forward, I think, like, it's a bliss peak, the second half for sure. So, within this All I Need, you get two different types of jams, two, like, very, like, that's that. So, they're executed very well. I think I definitely liked the jam. I think I just thought there was some other jams out there that maybe pushed musical boundaries a little bit more.
Sure.
And
I
think that was maybe my opinion on earlier.
Yeah. And I think we talk about, bliss jams a lot, and sometimes, like, okay, like, here's a bliss jam that, obviously that's a very familiar terrain for you guys in a lot of cases, and so you can do it, and you can do it really well, but might not necessarily be a jam of the year candidate. I feel like with this Cleveland All I Need, it's a higher level of bliss jam to my ears. It's like, it doesn't just feel like you guys hit a major modulation and you're just like feeling good going to a peak. It feels like you're really, like, you guys take the time to build that peak really well. And you mentioned earlier how, like, that like pseudo second jam kind of came about because of, like, a missed cue going back into the song.
It feels like that. I don't remember what exactly happened, but it felt like that to me. I should check out the video. But yeah, at least on the listen back, I was just like, you definitely hear, like,
well, it's unique.
Somebody hits the D, but, like, the band doesn't change, so it's like it's like it's unique.
I thought that it was cool in the moment. I remember thinking like, oh, like, they came back in, but then, they were like, oh, I get, we're not really done with this yet. And so
Right.
I love that you guys took it out again, especially, given the fact that we haven't had a All I Need second jam in a year and a half.
And just to your point about the second jam, it's like sometimes the most unexpected, like the, what's it called? Legend Valley one.
Talked about that last year, yeah.
Second jam was like an accident.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? So it's like sometimes those unexpected moments or like those mistakes lead to awesome, there you go, improv magic. And I'm definitely not like bummed by the fact that we missed the cue. I think it was like more so of less, it was just like, I thought there was like more, just better improvisational moments,
There we go.
And it's, Miles Davis said it, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's not the wrong note. It's what you play right after that.
Yeah, there's no wrong notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Victor Wooten.
I was going to say.
No wrong notes.
Exactly.
Yeah. He is amazing.
Oh,
well, I think we're going to summon Vickers magically by talking about the next matchup here, which is the Eugene Empress up against the Philly Echo.
Yeah.
Peter, your thoughts?
Well, this one is Eugene Echo all the way for me.
Philly Echo?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, nice try.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, so it's the Eugene Empress and Philly Echo. All right, so the Philly Echo, this is probably my favorite jam of the bracket.
Ooh.
And
you just made Vickers' entire year.
Yeah, thank Vickers.
Thank him. Yep.
Yeah, thank Vickers. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. It really just goes a lot of different places. It really has I think the band's listening very well, jamming patiently. There's a lot of good interaction. We modulate keys a lot, which to me it just shows that the listening is there and it happens pretty smoothly, which I really like. And then it goes into this crazy dissonant section, which I think is my favorite kind of dissonant dark section of the year. And I mean it is just it's so freeing and incredible, and then it comes back to the echo and just whoosh,
slams in,
slam dunk on the return. Just so strong. I think there's not really a wasted moment in this jam for me. I just listened to it back to front. I was like, awesome. Just didn't really have a moment where I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah. And you spoke about video jams. I think this was up on YouTube before 9 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah.
I remember Neil and I, we woke up and we were like, oh, Peter already put up a video from last night.
Yeah, I forgot how much I liked it, I think when I originally was just thinking back on the year, I thought about much different jams than when I listened back to everything. I had kind of created a ranking of top 4, top 8 without listening back. And then I listened back and it completely changed. This one maybe wasn't even on there, and I actually really like it. So this is a amazing jam. I think the Empress is cool, but I think that it gets into a dark space. It's definitely not as captivating as this Philly Echo. And I mean, it's definitely a unique Empress. I will say that. Probably the best of the year. But Philly Echo it is for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll back you up 100%. I mean, that's exactly how I feel about these. The Empress was cool because in the moment when we heard it the first time, we were like, holy shit, this is like Humphreys McGoose. I mean, Rick goes just absolutely bananas. And actually, foreshadows the Empress that comes later with Humphreys. Yeah, I mean, that one was just really cool. And I think in the moment we were super psyched on it, and still I'm super psyched on that jam because it just, it's not your typical Empress. And and when that happens, it's notable and exciting. But this Philly Echo, I was there for it. I was standing next to Vickers for it, actually, which is the funny part of the story. And there's something about when you see a jam that is awesome, and you kind of turn to your friend and you say you hearing this? This is amazing. And that jam had no fewer than like a dozen of those moments, and like every time you do that, you like look at your friend and say like, "You hear this?" Like it just builds excitement, and like I think that actually follows the music, and it's just more and more. There are just things like how is this even happening right now? Like is this reality? And then you have like this explosive peak at the very end, which was just so wonderfully built up.
Right.
This was like my favorite live music moment of the year.
Wow.
2023. I mean, I absolutely, this was great. I mean, I was literally jumping up and down, like screaming and yelling. I mean, it's something.
I feel like I was too
awesome
on
jam.
stage. I think this is the one where I like played guitar with my foot or something.
Yeah, this was the one exactly. And mostly, and the whole show is that, or like you barely touched the guitar that show. Is that right?
Oh, yeah,
I think that was
the one time.
I was gonna say that was the only time you touched the guitar the entire show.
The whole night. Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
But we did have a request to never mind.
It was such a freeing jam, and the energy was built so well. I totally agree with that. Like but it wasn't built in one area. Like it did move around, but the energy still kept building, which I thought that's cool. I mean, like that definitely shows a lot of patience, shows a lot of good listening. I think those are like the two key things for good improvisation.
Yeah. Just real quick, I've got the echo just a couple spots above the Sempress, but so good on Eugene though for getting 2 jams into the Sweet 16. One of the Louisville nights, got that as well. So, hot show, and it's funny because I think that's what you guys are playing so many shows now, and one of the other things that a lot of people will talk about is show this show versus that show or whatever, but there are, it's not incredibly often that you'll get like 2 or maybe 3 standout bracket worthy jams in the same show. Sure. So to end up with 2 in the Sweet 16, I mean, that's pretty awesome. So you guys you definitely got a good night's sleep that night, the night before. So I know that always helps.
Eugene definitely felt like a very strong show.
Yeah.
Right. After it, I was like, okay, like that was awesome. Like we told a good story there, and it like completed the mission. Like it felt like a really strong statement. I mean, I think there was a day off beforehand where we were in Eugene, and it was beautiful. Like it was the most amazing day, and I just remember like everything was kind of in bloom, and it was beautiful. Like so, we had a really great off day in Eugene, and it was just like I don't know, good things happen.
Pacific
good things
Northwest.
happen when you have
you guys really
little
like
time
it too.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think about like the Bend shows, the Bend
Love,
2222,
Oregon's
2223 is.
beautiful.
Yeah, I was in Portland for 3 years, and it's just like one of the best parts of the country as well. But I feel like you guys like sort of lay into that space, right? Like it's sort of the Pac Northwest. I think it's like the vibe is different.
Mm-hmm.
The sounds of those shows do have
smaller venues in some spaces. Eugene was only 800 capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bend is small. There's the big Atlas Dogs and the 2 Portland shows.
Back in the day.
The big Atlas Dogs jams that is no longer, but who knows? It's
I mean, and sometimes like when it's not like the biggest city or the biggest look, it allows you to relax more and take your time. So I think it was maybe a Tuesday night in Eugene or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but
something like that.
It was a weekday, I think. And I think those Louisville show. I mean, they're not like Chicago. It's not New York City. It's like some of these like other towns. They're still cities, but like, there's a little bit less of like the craziness that comes along with playing some big like cities like at Los Angeles. It's like,
sure.
I go to Los Angeles. I'm like, oh, what the hell's going on here? Like,
right.
It's crazy.
Living in New York, even he's like, Jesus.
No, Brooklyn's pretty chill. But
oh yeah, Manhattan is much different, obviously.
Yeah, there's certain energies that come out, and Eugene had like a very, very relaxed energy about it the whole time we were there, and I think it played into the shows. They were very relaxed, and it felt very, very easy to like explore. So
excellent.
No wonder. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's hit our final region here. We've got the Vividora region, and we're going to start with the Boner Thatch up against the Louisville Arrow.
There it is. He's still laughing.
Still doing it. Still doing it.
The Bonner Boner.
Yeah, Missoula. Some might call it Missoula.
So I know we're gonna. I think everybody. I'm guessing everybody is gonna be all over the Thatch here. But just real quick about this Arrow. So Neil, you were talking about the Rebelo Thatch.
Hold on a second. Hold on. This Arrow all the way.
Whoa.
Okay.
All right.
Save that hot take.
Arrow.
All right.
So Neil, you were talking about the Rebelo Thatch, and I can't take credit for this. Somebody else posted this, but there seemed to be a Louisville Arrow
Are you on social
jam in that a Rebelo Thatch jam. Is that? Did you recognize that, Peter, or were you aware of that?
I wasn't aware of it at the time, but and I haven't listened back and compared yet. But I could see it happening. You know, maybe it was just a similar theme of jam, or like similar progression.
A CCP,
Somebody-
if you will.
Somebody cut the two pieces and put them side by side on Twitter. You'll have to,
Okay.
Ryan. You'll have to share that with Peter.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
not on
interesting.
Twitter.
Because-
You know, it's you
Yeah.
haven't seen that. You just
I haven't
know.
seen that either. I'd like to.
I haven't seen that either. And, you know, to me, that Thatch Arabelo gem was a definite earworm. There was something. Everybody was like turning to each other and saying, like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is this? Like,
I thought it was like
know
All
what
I
this
Need
is.
or something.
Could have been some
Yeah.
bracket listening, just leeching its way in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, to me, it was the Ryman Madavon. That's what I heard in it. I haven't listened to the Arrow, like side by side with it, which is funny because I listened to that Arrow today and like it didn't strike me, but I'm gonna
Okay.
go check that out.
Yeah.
Just a Louisville shout. I mean, yeah, that I remember after, we had the big Born in the first set there and to open the second. And, you know, Arrow, I think I will speak candidly here. It's one like, right, you got to be patient to get there. It's
We
about
all,
10
we all
minutes.
agree on this.
Yeah, like
on
it's
the
about
pod,
10
I think.
minutes.
Yeah.
It's 10 minutes to get there, you know, before
Well, the
we
song,
hit.
10
the
minutes
song
of
itself
song.
is
It's just long. It is.
It's a long
It is.
song, yeah.
And then
And so it's that just adds to it. But I thought the Louisville Arrow was definitely, and Arrow as a whole is a song I think that has sort of found its place again. You know, 2021,
Yeah.
or even was that South Farms 2020? I guess like
Yeah.
that
No, there were a
2020
few
Arrow.
great ones.
Yeah, like back then in early 2021, and it was finding these darker spaces, and then kind of got a little bit more stock for the the next year and a half. But
Yeah.
I thought Arrow as a whole really had a great year. There were some wonderful versions, but
Flagstaff.
this one is just top notch for me. And the Thatch is, I mean,
This is a tough matchup.
it is. I think
I think
Thatch
it's.
is
I
gonna
mean,
go.
for me personally, I think it's very close. But maybe for other people, they would definitely just go with the Thatch. But I don't know. I think this Arrow is super unique. It's just like, let's see, yeah, like Ben and Trevor on the second half, really great linking up.
Do you have notes for this?
I do.
'Cause
Yeah.
There's no jam chart for this.
It's the
one.
shredding metal 2 guitar jam.
There we go.
The cool progression develops out of patient playing in D. Excellent patient build. This is a great jam. That's what I had as my notes. So
Can you send that to me so I can put that in as the jam chart? You know, we assigned that to you. You know,
What are your Thatch notes?
yeah. I liked the Thatch. It goes to some evil jamming. I wrote kind of similar to the Everything Must Go.
Yeah, Rob Rocks. Yeah.
Then it like breaks into a major key jam and like does a fast build. It's definitely sick. I thought like it didn't really, it definitely is deserving of its spot in this bracket and very high seated, So I think it's just like it jams pretty efficiently. It just kind of like covers a lot of different ground. It's like the themes are really done well. It's a great jam too. They're both really good.
We love efficient jams.
Yeah.
On the pod, can I ask you real quick?
Yeah.
Do you have any memories? I guess like specific memories and anything that stands out about the Red Rocks Thatch? Is that something that ranks highly for you?
I definitely remember it being awesome. Like, there was definitely, was that the second night of Red Rocks?
Yes.
Yep.
It was.
So there was something that, like, second night of Red Rocks, I feel like there was we felt comfortable, and Red Rocks is intimidating as a venue. Like, it's just, the crowd, like, literally goes up like this, and it feels like they're just towering down on you. And when you're like, last year, like, or 2022, it was like, whoa, this is crazy. I was much more comfortable playing at, like, Radio City, or, like, even some of the arenas we played with Trey, and it's just like, yeah, it's intimidating. So once you get a handle on it, then it's awesome, and, like, night 2 of Red Rocks really felt like we got a handle on it. We were like, we're crushing this, so everything night 2 we felt really strongly about. I think, like, that definitely was hot.
That came through.
Show of the year.
I was gonna say that came through in the Peter
Show of the
positivity
year.
rap.
Yeah.
In
The positivity rap.
The Peter
the What's Up.
positivity rap.
Yeah, the What's Up sing along was just memorable.
Yes.
Is that the undisputed show of the year?
I
For
believe
me,
so.
it is.
Yeah.
We were all there together, and I think we agreed on it.
Yeah.
In the moment.
Attendance
I think
bias?
that's too much fun at that show. Maybe.
There's definitely some attendance bias.
Not in Colorado.
but-
There's not.
No,
never.
no. That's
I'm
not
pretty sure Bert's on board with that
Oh,
sentiment
sure.
as well.
Yeah. 100%. And that one felt good. Yeah. And that was great. And that factory is really sick.
That's the Dragonfly Factory.
That one really is, like, yeah, we had command over that.
Yeah.
It felt really good.
Sorry, one more Red Rocks question.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Do you
Bert,
live in-
I
do you
don't
live
want
in
to put you on
Colorado?
the spot.
Do you go see shows outside of your state, man?
Ooh.
No.
No, he does not.
So,
I'm just joking.
and speaking of Bert,
I know you went to Wisconsin.
who's not going to do. So you were actually did a pod with Bert, and one of the questions that he asked was, "Hey, what podcasts do you listen to?" And I'm just wondering if you had a chance to answer that question again, would it change at all?
Great question.
It would. It actually would, because recently I've been listening a lot to Wong Notes podcast, which is Corey Wong's
Perfect
podcast.
timing.
Great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good answer.
But yes, maybe always almost there.
Hey!
I think that Red Rock show, though, too, when we look back at it, like, right, maybe some shows of the year before, you think of the Philly March 22, great
Right.
show, and, like, there's those, like, the set list from Red Rocks just does not have a hole in it. That's another part, I think all of us, like, we get an I Would Die For You, that the debut of that, like, solid versions of songs we all love, like, slow, fast, like the use of action to lead up right away into I Would Die. You get this massive Everything Must Go. It's just like, it didn't stop, that show. It's sort of, I mean, yeah, and being in Red Rocks is just magical, right? Been going there for 15 plus years, and it's just like,
Yeah.
it really is a transformative space, especially when the band is locked in too. And I think that adds to it, definitely.
Yeah.
But I think when I look back, at least, it's like, you want a solid set list with the content in it, and Red Rocks just really, like, you have 3 massive jams. You have the Everything Must Go, the Thatch, the Factory Fiction, like, and then it just doesn't have the holes in it otherwise, of maybe somebody you can pick through a show and sort of say, this is the show of the year, but we had this and this that we might take out, if we're being selective.
Right.
It just is like, it just doesn't have those holes in it.
What was the encore?
Dripfield.
Dripfield.
Okay, right.
Which we were waiting-
Kev's first drip.
Yeah,
No.
we were waiting. We were
wasn't?
we were surprised that his first
Never mind.
thatch. That we didn't get Dripfield in 2022. That was like a
Yeah.
space where we're like, oh, we got to get Dripfield on the rocks,
It was also your
and
first
it
drip, wasn't it?
so yeah, I think that's my feeling from that show. It's just like, it doesn't have holes in it.
Yeah, I mean, that the energy happening on that night was really spectacular. It just like the band, the audience coming together, like, with amazing energy, and you remember, like, even more so than, like, what notes we played. I never remember, like, what notes we played or, like, what themes we went into, but I remember, like, okay, that jam had like incredible energy. You remember the feeling more than you do the content. So like, the feeling of that show felt incredible. And that's, there's various shows where it's like, the feeling of playing as a band felt really amazing. And those are the things you're going to remember. And that's what's so cool about music. It's not just like you can play a lot of notes, but if anyone's not feeling it together, it's not going to have the same impact. And I think, that was one of those nights where the band was feeling it, and the crowd was right there with us. So it was a special one.
We sure were numb, so we needed the music to heat us up.
Yeah,
That was
I
a
remember.
cold ass
Cold
night.
night.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
cold. Yeah.
That's what you'll get up there in the mountains in October. So
that was fun. That was a hell of a night.
Vibes were high.
I mean,
a lot of hugs were handed out that night. There was hugs and high fives everywhere. It was weird. It was like you were at like a reunion of some kind. That show was just something.
I mean, this Everything Must Go is ranked highly in the bracket.
Well, great segue, because that's our final matchup of the bracket here. We've got the Madison Wisteria up against the Red Rocks Everything Must Go.
such a good
Yeah.
matchup.
It's tough.
That might be my
matchup.
tightest. That's my tightest of the 8 that are left, I think.
This side of the bracket is very good. This section, it's like any one of those 4 could be up, against, like, could be the jam, I really like this Everything Must Go. I really like this Wisteria. I honestly don't know what I'm going to vote for yet, because I think they're both really good.
I think that one question I had, like, so the Madison show, right? We're leading up to Chicago, Salt Shed, building in terms of a venue size in the city, which I've been down there. I saw Mount Joy over the New Year's run, and I really liked that as well.
Right.
At Salt Shed, going back, and can't wait to hopefully see you guys there again. And so I thought the Madison show though was one where it was like we're kind of we're saving tracks, but like the Indian River was huge in Madison, the Bourne was huge, the Wisteria, that was a show where you got, and Madison, the Sylvie, having just living down the road, in essence, it's a small space, it's short, right? Like, so it's wide and short. It's like 1,500 people or 2,000 max, and I love Madison as a town. I mean, we got a guy that from there too, Mads, our boy, and but it just felt like, are those shows sometimes where you're like, all right, we got these big shows, the big market you talked about, Eugene, isn't it, like right where you're like,
if you will,
we can kind of like get out there a little bit more, than we are going to maybe the next 2 nights, like just sort of that thought over a 3-show run, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, I think it happened more naturally than we intentionally, So, because there was amazing improvisational moments in Chicago too. I think it was like sometimes there's like, at least it's been this way in the past, where like if you have a little time off, and then you come back and play a show, or like a couple shows, it's like there's a renewed kind of excitement to play.
Jacked up to get on stage.
Yeah, and like that has fueled some good shows and some good jams. Of course, it could happen in other moments too. Eugene was like in the middle of a tour, but there was an off day before. It's a renewed sense of like, let's go out there, and that maybe is a different energy. But I think like when you look at Louisville, it's just kind of like the beginning of a tour. Cap like 3/8, and like this show, and it's like. The first shows some kind of, I mean, traditionally have had like that kind of extra bit of, improvisational juice, I guess, maybe. So,
Well, Louisville, we had the Solstice show before the late edition. So there was actually a show before Louisville. I drove down. I drove down after Chicago to Louisville that night.
Yeah.
Played golf at 10 a.m. after getting there.
Yeah, you did still
Yeah,
not sure how you did that.
Yeah, I think that show in general, it had a different energy because it was like, Bert came out and announced the band, and it was kind of like we had just played the Salt Shed, and we were going back to play the Riv. So it's a different, it's like it's a different kind of energy of being like, okay, we're going to play, like, I mean, the Riv is really cool, but like in a lot of ways, it's definitely not as nice of a venue as Salt Shed, in my opinion.
It's awful. It's so bad. It's so bad.
You know, I think there's the setting definitely has a part to do with it too. Of like, you know, it was a high energy show. I definitely remember it being a very high energy show, and it was also like for a radio show thing. So like that adds to it too. It's like maybe we're not gonna like stretch out super long on this show because it's like it's a radio. These like the people who were coming were not even there was like a lot of people who were like never seen us before, who were like, you know, got tickets to the radio station, etc., etc. So like there's various factors, you know. But yeah, I think this Wisteria is good. I think like Rick just goes absolutely insane on this. Yeah. It's like this is like
amazing.
Some of the craziest shredding of the whole bracket for sure. You know,
I also think that this is one of my favorite Trevor kind of jams of the year. I feel like he drives a really awesome melody that kind of carries from, you know, I don't know, like 13, 14, 15 minutes till the end. It's just a really awesome groove. And it just feels like Trevor really kind of came up with that and really pushed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are close, man. I think I actually prefer the Wisteria, just because the Everything Must Go is so dark and evil and great.
Right.
But I think there's something about that the melody in this Wisteria jam that just like calls me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we talk about this a lot on the pod. Like, Rick has an ability to grasp melody out of thin air sometimes, where it almost sounds composed.
He does.
And this Wisteria is one of the best examples of that, where you're kind of all dancing around this theme, and then there's a moment when it all just kind of comes together, and then Rick plays. I wish I had a sound bite of it because it's remarkable. But Rick plays like the lick that everything was leading up to, and it's just, I don't know, it fits perfectly. And yeah, that gives this Wisteria the edge. It's just, this is a really, really, really cool jam, and I think this is one of those examples of Rick just finding something, that just sounds composed, and it's so good when that happens. You know, I think it's like oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think I have to go back and re-listen to this one, and before like deciding. It's just like they're totally different from one another.
Two different jams, so different. Yeah.
Well, and we talked about that doing one thing really, really well jam, you know, a little bit earlier in the bracket. And I think this Everything Must Go is the perfect example of that. And it has the efficiency of being 16 minutes long. Right. You know, I think Neil and I had this discussion after the Red Rocks Night 2 show, kind of feeling like this is like similar kind of darkness and ferocity to the Philly Echo, but it does it in 12 less minutes, which I think for both of us, we said that was like a really good selling point about the Everything Must Go. Like it has the same energy and it hits all the same, you know, notes for us, but it's efficient. You know, I don't need to dedicate half an hour of my time to get the same kind of juice from this.
Interesting. I think there is something though that is special about a jam that is not like dark and evil for a while and then like finds its way there.
Yeah, versus starting there right away.
Just to get like the you know, the yin yang, or like just for the journey's sake. I think that, you know, that's one of the things I liked about the Philly Echo, is that like it goes all the different places and explores different themes and then like finds its way there, and it's like it's honestly like juicier for me when it finds its way there like that way.
Dark.
Yeah, but other stuff like can immediately go there too. So and like this one's really good, you know. So it's like you kind of, you know, I guess it could go both ways. It's subjective music, you know.
Yeah, it's another song
both are
too.
Good. Both are good.
It's a song too. I think that we saw a lot of evolution on over the latter half of the year.
Everything Must Go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you do kind of get it in the song. So like the song is kind of like is major pretty much most of the song, and then it kind of goes to this darker section. So like if you're talking about it in the course of the song, And this jam is exactly what I just described. It's like
and this one, no, and the Red Rocks version, the Red Rocks version had the shock factor of it being the first one with like the hard drop into the jam,
totally,
instead of the the more propulsive one that you were doing before. So that was really cool.
That's good for us too. It's like when these new ideas come out of like ways to interpret the jam, it just creates like all this new energy that we're bringing to it. If you look at like the Mirrors jam. Like we had played like Mirrors in the rehearsal and like stumbled across like that we could do that type of jam there, and we like played it a couple times in rehearsal, but like didn't go too far on it because like we kind of wanted to like keep it fresh. And then like when you get to the show and it's like it's got so much extra energy because we're like, oh, this is a new cool space, like we're gonna let this ride,
Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I got to tell you, Peter, I actually have Mirrors as my number 9 overall jam of the year.
Hell yeah.
You're crazy.
I think I have a top 15 too.
I think it's that good.
It is, man.
I think I had it around 20.
It kept rising too, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, and you're trying to keep the recency bias out of it because it's the most recent jam in the bracket.
Yeah.
But it's like it just. I think
it's good
that was
too.
one of the more floored moments too. I was just like,
it would have been a top 5 if y'all played it in Colorado.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any, the fact that it's Mirrors by JT, I'm sure that has a factor in why it didn't rank as high.
For some people, it was definitely a factor.
Yeah, like that. How could that not be a factor?
It's good.
It's
like,
good
that
Mirrors,
that's on
no
the radar.
way, dude.
Yeah.
There
we go. Well, that is our bracket. That is our 16 jams that we have left. Now we do have a couple more topics to cover on today's pod, and I'm really scared about what's about to happen. But
Mr. Ryan Storm,
anyway.
Mr. Ryan Storm, if I could just very quickly interrupt you.
Yes,
I do have a professional responsibility that I do have to get to. So I'm going to transition out. I love you guys. Thank you for letting me chat with y'all, Peter. It was great chatting with you. Guys, enjoy the rest of your time. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Just for Kev.
Out. See Kev.
Bye,
Hashtag
Kev.
just for Kev.
Everyone's Kev.
Every person Kev, every man.
Thank you guys.
Already miss you.
All right. There you go. Okay. So, show gaps. This has been a hotly debated topic for a while. Only exacerbated when you played All I Need in back-to-back shows in September. I have my visual aid ready here. I was prepared for this pod.
Started it.
I'm ready. I made sure I had it. But Peter,
what is everybody's opinion before I go?
Right,
well,
that's fair.
so I'll say this: in the Storm household, it's divided.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's important to say. So Ryan's opinion, even the people closest to him think he's full of it, including his own mother. It's important that we say that in advance. So no, I mean, the interesting thing about the show gap thing is it's just kind of snowballed to this massive controversy. I don't know if I really have a horse in this race.
Yes,
but
you
now
do.
I'm just stuck on having to hold this ground because Ryan just feels so strongly about it. So, but in my opinion, if a song has been played in a show and it's played in the next show, 0 shows have been played in between.
Right.
Therefore, it is a 0 show gap.
Would you say, Neil? Would you say the gap between the number 1 and the number 2 is 0 or 1?
If we're talking counting integers, yes, there is a 0 gap between 1 and 2.
What? No, you go 1.
Yeah, no, in mathematics, Ryan.
1 plus 1 equals 2.
All right. Jive, what do you think?
Other way.
Does everyone else agree with Neil except for Ryan?
Yeah, I'm pretty much.
Yes.
I'm pretty much with Neil. So as usual.
Jive and Neil agree. If there's
you
one
guys
thing,
always agree.
Death, taxes, and the two of you agree.
I agree too. I think it's
stop highlighting messages.
Oh, he's highlighting. So I think we had the Milwaukee All I Need, and then is it the
Salt Lake?
The Salt Lake. Yep, the Salt Lake, and
the fateful tweet.
And the tweet, yeah. So that was fun, but yeah, I'm of the same belief.
I mean, there was definitely a few days of gap.
Sure,
there, right?
But that's not what we're talking about.
With
here.
0 shows in between.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that in order for there to be a gap of a show, there needs to be a show.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's why they call it. That's why they call it a show gap.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure you text him later and check in on him.
The only thing that would make this moment better is if Ryan's mother just walked onto screen and said, "I told you, Ryan." And that would absolutely...
Can we make that happen, Ryan?
Is she watching in the next room?
I don't know.
Mom.
She might be.
Oh, man.
Mom, you're being paged for the pod.
Yeah, shout out to Lisa.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, this is. I mean, this is peak. Always almost that moment here.
Luckily, I can't change the code in elgoose.net, so I will continue to be right on paper.
Luckily, I've got the number of the guy who can.
Hey, fish.net is the same way. Are you gonna change every .net's way of doing things?
Hey, they're just wrong, man.
Irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Well,
we're goosing here.
Well, we've got that out of the way. It's settled. I will not compromise my beliefs, nonetheless.
It's okay. You can have
But before we wrap up, we'd like to take a couple of questions from the chat here. We know there are a lot of burning questions. The people have. Oh yeah, they wanted you to tell me that you told me so about the show gap thing.
Oh man.
Hey, Lisa.
That's all I know.
Okay.
It's annoying.
All right, fair enough.
What's the answer?
It's annoying.
Okay, it's good.
I missed.
Okay, she said it's annoying. That's
What did Peter say, Ryan?
point good. Peter said that he disagrees with me.
Awesome. We have an
Awesome.
Yeah. Lovely. Well, okay. So let's take a couple of questions from the chat here. Someone who's been very loudly asking, Anna really wants to know if you guys play Animal Crossing.
I have played Animal Crossing with my nephew Jasper. He loves that game, but not on my own. I guess I don't play video games on my own time, but he's got Animal Crossing. He loves it.
But speaking of hobbies in general, though, like hobbies and sports, I know there was a time when you were exploring pickleball.
There he is.
How's that journey coming for you?
It's going. It's fun. I like pickleball when I have the time and when the weather's nice. I haven't played recently because.
What are you doing on the afternoon of June 7th in Colorado? I think was going to be Jive's next question.
That's amazing. I actually had planned to go to a pickleball court that morning.
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, I think I've always thought that it would be such a great thing for the band and crew to get some exercise, and
it's great.
Some team building.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to just like pick up and play. Anyone can play it. It's a fun game.
It's a little safer than like a skateboard or when you're out there on the streets during
it's good for people like Jive.
We don't need to break an arm.
Oh yeah.
Depends on what you're playing against.
Yeah, I like a good frisbee toss too. In the summertime, we definitely get into that as a full band.
There we go.
Yeah,
that was fun in Buffalo. All right, Neil, do you want to grab the next question out of chat here? I'm gonna put the pressure on you.
600.
Oh man, I don't know. Here, well, let's do this because it's come up like a zillion times. So, and people have talked a lot about this on the internet. So, when we look at Cotter and you look at Lee Von Helm, they do look a lot alike. What do you think about that?
Oh, I completely agree. They look they definitely look very much alike. And there's a great video on Cotter's like Instagram page of him like during COVID singing "Don't Do It" and like playing it with his friends like remotely. It's awesome. And he turns on the Levon like nobody else. He does like the drop shoulder thing like on the kit. He even plays.
So follow-up question. Obvious follow-up question is: will he be taking verses on band songs? Since you might use so many band songs,
we haven't gotten there yet. We'll see. That would be cool though. He's definitely going to be singing at some point.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the bigger general question is like, will we see him sing? Because I think we saw. I mean, on the videos that are out there available on the internet, he does a decent amount of singing. So
yeah.
And on the Goose the Band website, he's only credited as drums and no vocals. So I think we were curious whether
maybe that's just because he hasn't done.
You haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
There we go.
We'll update it when it happens.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Trevor
here-
hasn't played Keytar yet, but we'll get there.
Okay. All right. I like it. We do have one here. Question from good friend of the pod, 6007, also creator of the formula. The formula dictates. Thank you, Adam, for doing that.
Wow.
He's curious about the Rosewood Jam from Borderland, and piggybacking off of that, I know friend of the pod, B Dunn, would be very upset if we didn't ask your opinion on sit-ins being in the bracket.
Oh, I think sit-ins definitely could be in the bracket because I think it's it's still us playing, and I think that was a sweet moment and really fun to play with those guys. I remember like the old C Jam from Fred really was like, oh yeah, these guys like they want to go deep, they want to jam, and it was just like another opportunity to really explore with them, and just love those guys.
Fuck yeah,
awesome.
Those guys are the shit.
Oh my god.
Different guys, but same sentiment.
Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that about the Humphreys guys?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Those guys are the shit.
But it's like, you think back the
man.
Grippo Flea from Vermont was just like such a fun jam that tour, and it's just like you can't dismiss the fact that because there's another element to the band,
right?
At its core, you guys are playing the music. Yes, it does. They have these additions and can potentiate and just fulfill the jam space a little bit more. I mean, a horn, of course, is huge. So it's like, I think that's always, I love seeing it. And, I think sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't in terms of another artist up there. But yeah, the one when it does click and you guys are feeling it, it's really noticeable, and it's fun to see that. Right, it frees you up maybe a little bit too, where it's like these guys are bringing flavors and ideas that we don't get to naturally.
And you get Jeff on guitar.
Exactly. Yeah, Jeff on guitar is great.
Jeff loves strumming.
Yeah,
a D chord.
EMD. Yeah.
Well, one more question. We'll go a little bit of a different direction here. Good friend of the pod, Haps. Best Connecticut pizza.
Ah, yes. So this is all right. I am lactose intolerant, so this is like based upon.
Me too, man.
So, oh, nice. So somebody who can't have cheese, so it's got to be a place that has a really good vegan cheese option. So Delegna, which I believe is called Nolo now or something in New Haven, is my favorite pizza in Connecticut.
So it's that style pizza pie with this vegan cheese,
they make a really, really good one. And I've got my favorite place in Brooklyn is called Della Rocco's. Now this pizza place is absolutely legendary. If anybody out here lives in Brooklyn or New York City, like, you need to go to Della Rocco's immediately. If you're gluten-free, they have by far the best gluten-free crust of all time at this restaurant.
That's right up my alley.
Like, no joke. It's not a frozen crust. They like make it there. I've seen it happen. It's amazing.
This podcast is sponsored by Della Rocco's Pizza.
Della Rocco's, yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to give I meant to give a shout out earlier. I just want to shout out Eric Loomis, our front of house engineer, who pretty much I think I stopped mixing these boards like after the cap run. So for everything else, mixed by Eric, who's just saving so much time for me post show, like cutting up tracks and stuff like that. So he did really such a great job and has done such a good job with the mixes on the recordings. And
so we should be sending him
big
dark chocolate now when it takes a couple of days for the boards to come out.
Yeah. He likes cigars. So you could send him cigars.
There we go. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So drop by the soundboard. Give Loomis like a cigar
for Loomis.
And you might see a quicker borf.
I'll have to. Yeah, I think that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, he's just mixing. I mean, he's just like, it's happening while the show's happening. So then he gives me the drive and then I cut it up, and post it. But he's at least doing all the mixes and the rides and the tones and stuff like that is all super dialed in. He's really crushed it.
That's something we were wondering about too. Yeah, just in terms of timing and you being able to enjoy your space and not committing that time right after to put up a show. You're like, we got to get this show up. It was that good.
Oh yeah, and now it's like we can get a show up in an hour.
Well, there was after Amsterdam. I remember it was like an hour after the show, and it was like, oh, it's up. Like,
yeah, that's. I mean, the one thing about that was that Amsterdam actually had really, really good internet. So like the upload speed was amazing. I was like, okay, let's get the board up immediately. Like I uploaded that Thatch video like that night. I was just like,
Right.
we gotta like let's get something up because
We're here,
while we
yeah.
can.
Mario vibes, the coin
It's like-
vibes tonight.
Oh yeah, that was great, and
Yeah.
totally an accidental thing by just that backline clav, just for
And
some
then you
reason.
and then you kept going to it, which we loved throughout the tour. It was
Yeah,
like we found it again and just kind of kept jamming off of it. But
It's
the video is
Yeah.
great, where you're just like
yeah.
sort of like.
I mean,
You
I
just
literally
kinda,
was
like,
in
look
shock.
back
I was
over.
like, I can't believe this sound is happening right now. Like in the key of this song, like this is crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so that was pretty awesome.
This is what I'm getting in response. Let's
Amazing.
Definitely gonna have to get that clav again next time we go there.
Do you have it
That's-
like you have it reserved like from the backline company? Like,
No idea.
don't fix it. I need it.
No idea. If they fix it, you know, I hope they don't.
You just gotta
So
get
close.
a Mario coin sample.
Yeah,
for
that
the synth.
I could make that. You know, I've been exploring sounds like in the last few weeks, trying some new synths out. That's been an exploration for me as of recently, and I'm really excited to get back at it. Rehearsal and then the shows. You know,
Well,
We're so
we are
excited.
we are very, very excited about that. And, you know, and
summer
for-
tour is on sale this Friday. If you wanna-
Yes.
yeah, the lottery
Get your
is
tickets.
like going to yield a lot of winners this year.
I've seen that.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
A lot of
are
people.
saying.
I don't
they
think
got
I've
The
it.
seen.
lottery.
I don't think I've
Yeah.
seen anyone yet who said they struck out in the lottery.
The
on
lottery
Twitter.
is much different now. So like,
Is it pledging more tickets?
oh my God, it's like night and day. So the lottery
Yeah.
used to be, we would like, you know, talk to the ticketing companies and the promoters and be like, please like give us like, you know, percentage tickets to do a lottery because, you know, it's a nice thing to get tickets in the hands of the fans, and not like bots or anything. So we would get like 5 to 10% of the tickets for
Yeah,
like
it's in-
a general lottery in the past. And now the lottery this year that we just did is like, it's insane. It's like the vast majority of the tickets available were in the lottery. So,
Wow.
you know, pretty much, you know, the chances are very, very high that you're gonna get your lottery picks.
So thank you. That's
Yeah, yeah.
very, very awesome.
It's just another way of like getting. I mean, because the thing about the lottery is that you can actually go through and scrub all the accounts and make sure everyone who bought the ticket is, you know, real
Who they
person,
are.
not a
Yeah.
bot, ahead of time. So like usually, you know, and it's like it's better than an artist pre-sale because that kind of happens in real time, and then it's way better than the on sale because then you have to go back afterwards, even before people have been or like after people have been charged, and then like that takes way more work. So this way of doing it was like, wow, we get everybody's information, check it, make sure everything's good, this is a real person, etc., etc. Then charge all the credit cards and stuff, and it's gonna work out a lot better, I think.
Yeah, with Ticketmaster too, that was sort of another space of just they can handle it better. Was that something you guys kind of worked with?
So it was like before we were just like trying to get it to happen, and we had to run it ourselves on Seated. We like partnered with
okay.
them,
Yeah.
but now like I guess Ticketmaster was down to get on board with us, you know, and do it. So it was like, let's, you know, we'll just do it on their platform.
Good
And
to
it's
hear.
like, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
good to hear that it's working out and we're able to, you know, people are able to get their tickets. But we are obviously we're so excited for summer tour.
Yeah.
You know, we're very excited to hear the new Cotter Jam coming out tomorrow, and you know whatever else gets released in between now and the beginning of tour. But we just
Yeah.
want to say again, thank you so much, Peter, for coming on the pod today. It's been a pleasure. We kept it to 2 hours, which I think is pretty good for us.
Impressive.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Not bad.
We did.
How
we did a
long
good
was it
job.
last year?
An hour and a half, I think.
Okay.
We didn't have TED tapes. We didn't have show
Right.
gaps. You know, there was more to talk about.
And you had a lot of queued up clips, you know, which was like that was
Oh,
just
yeah.
surreal, of course, to be like, hey, let's look at this. I mean, all I need when Ben hits
I
the
mean,
second jam, or just like
I will play you one clip because I haven't played any clips yet.
Hopefully, the video doesn't get taken down because of copyright.
All right, so I shouldn't play the clip.
Well, is it from TED Tapes or is it from a show?
That's from TED Tapes.
Okay, then maybe I wouldn't risk it.
All right.
I want to get taken down before we finish the broadcast. Wait, tell everybody what's the timestamp that you were going to play, and they can go listen to.
That's fine.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I think I was just gonna play that moment from the Leo Jam where like Rick and I were like had that moment between each other. It's 3 minutes and 30 seconds in.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Nice.
That was just like a really. Whenever I hear that, it'll always just like be like, nice. Okay. Just
It must have
relaxing.
been so relieving too to just like you guys like right away. It's just like, wow, this is gonna work out.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like the whole thing is insane, and I'm so thankful for Cotter. He's like really he's the man, and it's been amazing to play with him. So yeah, I'm really excited for the future.
Amazing.
It's gonna be a good fit for you guys.
Amazing.
We are too.
Well, thank you again, Peter, and thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this podcast.
Anytime.
Yeah, thanks again.
Our
man.
pleasure.
Thanks for coming. Thank you to Becky for letting you be here.
Yes.
Yeah. We're gonna go make dinner now.
Yeah.
So it's a big day.
Awesome. We'll see you next year, Peter. Same time, same place.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
The annual
Sweet 16
pod.
is a good time. The matchups are tight.
Oh, it's good.
The matchups are
let's
close.
actually, but before we go, let's take a peek at how Eugene Bourne versus Hunger Salt is going. Currently, 300 votes,
Wow.
and Hunger Salt is ahead with 60%.
64,
That's
dude.
close.
There's still time for you to go back to your bot farm, Peter.
Is that a lot of? That's a lot of votes, though. I think at this point.
Yeah, I have a
300 is a
feeling.
lot, yeah.
I have a feeling that as we get into the more contentious matchups, I think people are going to be voting. We've seen higher totals on some of the more high-profile ones, but
Yeah.
we can keep going forever, obviously, as I think we all know. But just thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Peter, and we will see you guys next time. Have a great